You want to get yourself a winning truck, then get yourself a trophy truck. Thanks for watching. Today we're taking a look at the LOSI BAJA REY 2.0. Perhaps you are familiar with the BAJA REY lineup. They keep improving them not just in looks but also in specs. So this one as well has a lot of updates, not just to the body and the looks of it, but also to the chassis. We will go over all of that stuff today. We will also take this thing out for a run. I hope it will dry up. If not, we will do that in a parking garage. Do not think for a minute that this truck is comparable to any type of a short course truck or basher, because that's not its intended use. This is a far more scale looking, scale behaving truck, and it should also be used in that way. Trucks like these with this amount of detail, not just in the body and in the looks, but also in the chassis, should not be used in the same way as a short course truck, for example. You will experience with this truck that there's like a lot more traction roll, but you will also, and that's like the flip side of it, you will also see that it acts way more scale than a short course truck. And if that's what you're after, then this could definitely be the truck for you. LOSI have been heavily involved in also attending, for example, the Mint in Vegas, and I think they took a lot of really important notes from there and incorporated that in this latest version of the LOSI BAJA REY, the 2.0. There are a lot of improvements over all of the previous versions. Let's go have a look and see if we can pick all of those out. First of all is, of course, this 2023 fully licensed Ford Raptor R method body. Looks fantastic. I really like the paint scheme. All of the stickers look really nicely applied, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of air bubbles, for example, behind them, in which crap will accumulate. That's usually with stickers, that's the biggest problem that I have with them. It just starts to look sloppy really quickly, and in this case, all of it is really tightly applied, and it looks like a quality piece of kit. Of course, it's super recognizable with that Ford licensed front grille, those headlights and also the tail lights. It just really looks good. The method sticker on the side already kind of gives away that we also have method licensed wheels. So these are actually method 101 rims in like a dull chrome finish. I really like the look of these. Wrapped around those you will find some, and this is also new for the BAJA REY lineup, some BF Goodrich KR3 tires. They look fantastic, but they feel even better. This is a really hard compound, makes them extremely durable, but also it will make them look really scale when you're blasting this thing around. Speeds up to 50 miles an hour with the stock setup, so that is really impressive actually on 3S. Apart from that, a lot of detail going on the exterior of this cage. Underneath those two fully functioning spare tires, you will find that there's a fuel cell. In front of that, two faux shock reservoirs, King licensed, two faux fire extinguishers. It would be a bit weird if those actually functioned. A jack with Proline licensing on that one. And then in front of that, a radiator. And above that, an LED light bar. This actually functions, so this one lights up red, and also all of the other lights in front of the truck, they also function, which is of course really cool right out of the box. So there's 7 white LEDs in this big light rack over here that sits above the front window, and then also in the front grille there are 3 amber LEDs just to finish off the look, really illuminate this thing well in the dark. Of course, that front face is really recognizable with that Ford grille that is licensed, those headlights, and also the hood scoop that has a Raptor logo emblazed on it. If you look at the side of it, with some of the other BAJA REY versions, I had some problems with the way that the side looked. I didn't find it really coherent, and in this case I think all of that has been solved, and this is actually a really cool paint scheme, but it also looks proportionate. If you have a look at the inside as well, there's a driver, passenger, plenty of detail going on, just to give you like something more to look at than a truck without an interior. And between the driver and the passenger, you also see that there is a tiny look through to the Spectrum ESC. Underneath there's some recognizable stuff, but there's also a lot of new stuff going on. I think we should start off with some of the recognizable stuff first. That's this 3mm chassis, the 2.5mm stamped aluminum spine that sits on the top of it, and I guess the overall layout is also something that is fairly recognizable. The steering servo sits in the same position. It is still a 15 kg Spectrum steering servo, however it is coupled to a new servo saver. So that is a vast improvement over the previous version. Also, all of the gearboxes sit in this exact same position as you would expect them from a Baja Rey. The ESC sits in the same position. It is still a 130 amp brushless waterproof ESC, Spectrum branded. The receiver sits in the same position, and also the motor sits in the exact same place as you are perhaps used to from your previous Baja Reys. It is a 3800 kV Spectrum branded brushless motor, and if you want to do anything to it or you just want to have a look at it, it is fairly easy to just take it out, remove these 3 screws, and the entire motor assembly drops out from the bottom. Makes it really easy to maintain it, change pinions, do whatever it is that you want to do to it. Battery location is also similar to what you've been used to in previous editions. So open this little door, pop your battery in, plug it in, turn it on-off switch is also in the same location, and off you go. Now the differences. There is a new rear axle housing, and this one houses a fully sealed diff that you will also find in the front. So the front and the rear diff are now similar. Also, the bearing size on the pinion has been improved and increased. The rear upper links have also been redesigned. There's more webbing going on right now around those pivot balls, and it just makes them a tiny bit more durable. So all of that is clever thinking. You will also see that there are more shock absorbers, not just in the back but also in the front. So completely according to how a true full-sized trophy truck would be laid out. You will now find 2 shock absorbers on every corner. One of them is a coilover, and then the other one is like an oil damper that has then a faux reservoir on each corner. So also in the front, those faux reservoirs with their King licensing are included. Now, in order to make room for that additional shock absorber, the front had to be redesigned. So the front upper A-arms are also completely new, just to make enough room for that additional shock absorber. And speaking of the front, also the front diff housing has been redesigned. So that front gearbox right now offers easy access to that sealed differential. In case you do want to access that, you don't have to take the entire truck apart. You can just take the front apart and have immediate access to that front diff. I think overall, this will never, of course, be as easy to work on as a short course truck. It's also not intended to be driven the same way. It's also not intended for the same audience as a short course truck. This is a truck that suffers from traction rolls, that is less drivable perhaps than a short course truck and less bashable, but it offers way more detail to look at. It offers a way more realistic suspension setup. And in case you do want to tune it, there are 3 different spring rates available in the future to set up your truck to your liking and really make it act the way that you want it to act. This is a truck for people who want to have super scale looks with some higher speeds. This truck reaches speeds up to 50 miles an hour with a 3S battery. And in case you do pop in some Spectrum Smart batteries, you can check the battery level on the DX3 remote. If you are running Spectrum Smart batteries, you can check your battery level on this DX3 radio. There are also reverse switches located on the top of the radio. There's also a throttle limiter in case you want to hand this radio over to somebody who has no experience with RC, or you just want to have like a lazy Sunday because you have a hangover. You can set the throttle limit to 50 to 75% or just fully open it up at 100%. Takes 4 AA batteries, no surprises there. Has a foam wheel, it handles actually really nice. And there's also a 3rd channel switch located right under your thumb when you drive this thing. I'm really excited about this new release. I think trophy trucks are fantastic, especially this one. There's so much cool stuff to look at. There's such an amount of detail. It just looks great. And then also seeing so many functioning bits on there, like for example those LEDs, just makes me really keen to charge battery, pop it in here and take this thing out and see how it performs. That's also what we will be doing right now. Super curious as well what the Eisenhower version looks like, that Ford F100. If you want to have more information about this one or the Eisenhower one, go check out the links in the video description box. Let's get out and see what this thing does.
Back on.